Good morning, everyone. I'm Leo Jeremiah Arnel Ocayo, or Gerald. I'm the Program Officer for Student Leadership Development of Ateneo Naga University. And for today, I will be sharing with you how to create your own online forms via Google Form, and as well as how to automatically generate electronic certificates. But before we start, let me just temper down everyone's expectations and inform that this workshop or my segment will be solely focused on the use of Google Workspace applications. There might be other applications or digital platforms that can create online and evaluation forms as well as automatically generate electronic certificates for your online activities. But for the premise of this workshop, I will be sharing with you through the use of Google Workspace applications. So I will be just sharing with you my slides. So welcome again to this online workshop, Workshops from Home. And I would just like to discuss why is it important to create online registration evaluation for forms. First is it is important for us to monitor and count the number of participants who registered. As you may know, certain digital platforms like Zoom and Google Meet only have an allowed number of participants who can join a single meeting. For Zoom, I think it's around 100 participants. Also, the organizers might impose a number of participants who can register and join the certain online activity as well. Let me share our own experience of our office. Last school year, we implemented our alternative class program for the first time fully online. So it's a series of online workshops and webinars for the entire student population of Ateneo Naga University. And for each webinar or workshop, we only have a allotted number of slots for students. Through Google Forms or through the use of online registration forms, we were able to identify which activity or which webinar or workshop was already nearing its full capacity or which webinars were still have a number of slots to be availed by students. So it's important for us. It can monitor and or help us in checking whether or not the number of participants has already been achieved. Also, it's important for reporting and data gathering. Some of you might have your annual reports by the end of the school year, and through Google Forms, you can view how many participants have joined this webinar, and it can also break down certain demographics. Let's say, for instance, how many first-year students have joined this webinar, or how many in total, how many students have joined the webinars conducted by the Office of Student Affairs. So it is really helpful for those who are creating data reports at the end of the school year. Also, it also helps in contacting participants regarding announcements. Last Wednesday and Thursday, I sent an announcement to your respective emails, your registered emails through our Google form regarding the Zoom link for this activity, as well as the needed applications or materials by the speakers in order for you to uh, cope or to join their presentations as well. Lastly, it's important for us to get feedback from the audience for improvement. So through your evaluation forms, you get feedback from the students whether what were your strengths of the webinar or what needs to be improved. Just to share, during our first series of webinars, during the first months, we encountered certain technical difficulties, and it was pointed to us by our participants as well. They said that there were times wherein the voice wasn't audible or there was lagging in the live streaming. So during the course of the year, we were able to address this comments or this feedback from students in order for us to improve our applications or our future webinars that we have conducted so far. Before before we start with the actual demo, I would just like to remind you of your needed applications. So mostly, like I mentioned at the start, it will be focused on the Google Workspace, specifically your Google Gmail or Google Mail, your Google Drive in order to store your files, your Google Forms, the one you're going to use to create your online registration and evaluation forms, your Google Slides, where you're going to put your certificate, and Google Sheet, where your data will be gathered. Also, there are specific add-ons which will be required for you to make it easier. Mail merge will be used for our Google Sheet in sending out reminders to participants, and Autocrat will be solely used for creating your online electronic certificates. So let's move on to our demo. This is an example of a sample online registration form I made. So some of the segments have already been pre-added in order to speed up the process of this presentation, but I will still go with it one by one in order to show you how I create my online forms. First of all, I usually put a title here. For example, for here, sample registration form for student directory. Then you need to put this, sometimes it automatically recognizes what you put in as the title of the presentation itself. So it's better for that. In case you're looking for it in your Google Drive or your Google folders, it'll be easier for you to spot your Google form and for which to separate from the other forms that you already made. Usually, whenever I do forms, I give a short message to the participants or to the audience of what this form is about. So for this instance, I give a message, hello student leaders. The 2021-2022 school year has already started, and our office has prepared numerous formation activities for you and your respective organizations. In order for us to better communicate our invitations and offerings, we would like you to register in the said form. So we will be gathering their data. It is also important for us to note or require our participants to register their email. So in this case, we go to the settings. It's in the upper part. I'll show you here. So this button, settings, then collect emails. So you only click the response to recipients if you want the recipients to get a copy of the form that they have already filled up. So you may have the option if the respondent requests it. Only if, not always. Sometimes some participants don't like to be emailed the response of their forms. For Ateneo users, whenever you're organizing activities within your student organizations or you're inviting only members of the Ateneo community, you may restrict it to the Ateneo de Naga University email. In this case, they will just have to sign up with their Gbox accounts. In other cases, in general cases, you may want to limit the response to only one person. So the person will be required to sign in before they answer the form. Moving on, we tend to break down the registration form into sections so it won't be dragging, and the participant wouldn't have to scroll all the way down just to answer. So it's broken up to certain sections for the participants to view it more conveniently. Whenever our office is gathering confidential data like contact numbers and contact emails, we often put Data Privacy Act. We always put Data Privacy Act. So it could be this long. The Office of Student Affairs at the Naga University recognizes the responsibilities under the Republic Act number 10173, or also known as the Data Privacy Act of 2012. Or you can have a short segment of it. All the data we're here with will be kept confidential under the Data Privacy Act of 2012. So just put a column wherein the participants may agree or not agree and move on. Usually in Google Forms, we ask for basic information, especially when we want to reach them out via email or via text. In order for us to personally know are the ones we're sending emails or invitations to despite this pandemic. So we often ask them to put their full name, contact number. Organization email refers to the emails of their organization. For example, for our office, it's also a gbox. It's not the email of the person, but the organization itself. Also here, we tend to put college profiles as well. As I mentioned before, we ask participants, in case of reports, we want to see the demographics or the data representing how many participants have joined. So in this segment, you can also put important or additional information such as year level, course, and student organization they represent. Also, the titles of the questions will be later on, as I show you, will be the column headers of your data sheet or in your Google Sheet. So here we have the organization represented, and afterwards position organization. Then we put a segment of profile moderator. If you want to add another section, just put this add section part and it will automatically click you to a new section. I think it's made before. Then you can also drag and improvise. So here, another section was created. Whenever you want to add another question, you may do this, add questions. If you want to make the question or the item required, just click this part. So if you want to delete it, then delete it, and also this part, delete section or remove. Then that's all with Google Forms. I think it's very easy. Also, in terms of design, I recommend you try to make it as simple as possible, or make it as, what do you call this, pleasing to the eyes, not too strong, not too bright, because some users might not be able to want to view the form as well. Okay, presentation. Here you can also show how the participant is progressing in their registration form. And here we can add a confirmation message once you're finished. Your response has been recorded. Additional announcements will be sent to your registered contact number and email. If you want to view your presentation, you might want to click preview, and it will just give you a glimpse of how you're going to act from the perspective of someone is going to answer the registration form. So it will be like this. The progress bar is here. So per section, it will be moving on. Now let me show you how you can incorporate this online registration form with your Google Sheet, and how to create how to automatically generate emails as well. So after this, go to responses. As you can see, it's not been filled up, but for the purpose of this activity, I have included several data within data of my names of some of my colleagues, and also their emails to demonstrate how this works. As I mentioned before, it's important to take note of the headers, column headers, since it will be matching your data respective to the columns which they are placed. So you have columns here for student organization represented and position and organization represented. So if you're going to email the thread of participants here under those who have registered, you want to send them an email one by one, you can do it so by using the mail merge add-on. It's the one I shared prior to my presentation, and I'll just show you how I often use it. So we start. Sometimes it takes long to prepare this, but if you have already done it, so I think it will be easier for you. Here is a sample email. So I'll be showing you the template that I made. So see, let's edit. Let's edit one of the confirmation. So I'll just delete this and show you the step-by-step process. What you want to do first is to how you formally address a letter. So usually what I start is I write the name of the person, but instead of this, we'll be using our our brackets in order to, and column headers. So it will automatically match and generate the necessary information we need. So for this instance, say full name of the participant we're addressing the letter to or invitation to. Make sure that the header proper is within the two brackets. So it's two brackets each side. Then if you want to convert to single space, press shift, then enter, then another column bracket. Let's put in this part position in organization represented. Make sure that the ones you're inputting matches the column headers that you put in your Google Sheet. Then lastly, Shift enter again, so there will be no space or it's just a single space. Um, Student organization represented. So and two brackets at the end as well. And now for the body of your letter, what I usually put is hello, then full name again. Some of you might separate the names like first name, last name. It depends on you on how you want to collect the data as well. So full name, then usually you put a greeting, hello, good day or greetings like that. Usually I put the Office of Student Affairs has already received your registration. Please note that please be updated with our offerings. We will be with our offerings and activities. Or let me replace it. If I want to say uh, we will be sending our invitations to your registered email and contact numbers. Sincerely, Office of Student Affairs. Then we save it, or we can use it as a template later on. The subject email is what is usually put in the email that we're going to send. Also, you may opt to change the font. For example, I'll just Control A, then System Font. I'll choose a system font. Let's say I'll choose Arial, so it will also change. Just match it properly. So afterwards, there's also options here wherein you can include an image or a link. So you can insert or edit links. Then afterwards, if you're done, if you're satisfied with the email body, just press save and close. Then it will redirect you again to the main page. Here, we will see recipient column. So since our emails, our registered emails are in column B, so that means all the entries here in this part will be the receiving email. So before you can send out, you might as well double check the emails. Some students might tend to forget, or some might mix up instead of a .com.ph, they put -com.ph or comma.com.ph. So it's also safe for you to double check before you head on. So for mail merge, once again, and afterwards, once it's open, since we already, let's kindly take note of the template you're using. So since here my template is sample invitation to contact person. So here is a preview. This part, you see the preview of the respective letter. So I'll be sending to two people. So it automatically recognizes and matches their data. For example, for Sir Vons Adoremos, I put there, he's part of Ateneo Sarangbangi Junior Eagles. Then he is the current Vice President for Internal Affairs. So it shows there, automatically recognized and matches with Sir Vons Adoremos. So here's the email. Then what we want to do also is if you want to put a sender's name, for example, instead of my email account, I'll put Office of Student Program Officer for Student Affairs, or also Program Officer. So it will, once they receive the email, they will know that it's from me. Okay. Then if you want to CC, you may also include that person's name there. Since we're not going to CC anyone in this email, so we'll just leave it at that. Afterwards, once I see the preview and it looks okay for me, I'll send the emails by clicking this one. Then you'll be prompted to this window which says your emails will be sent in X number of seconds. So emails are sent. Let's close it. Usually there's a segment here, okay? It says that has already been sent, and you might know that there are two other columns as well. So I've been testing this out before showing out to you in order to check it with my colleagues as well. So in this, you're updated that the email is already sent, or for some instances, it has already been read. So it's just a rinse and repeat process. I hope that this can make it easier for you to contact persons in a more personal and professional way. I think it's better to contact persons individually rather than in a big thread. Sometimes tends to be less formal and less personal, especially in this mode that we're in this new normal. We're in a simple glimpse of having an email written to you personally is somehow brings back the old feeling before the pandemic, in which you can send out letter individually or personally to the person. So that will be all for the registration forms. I hope you learn and you can practice it as well. So I'll just remind you that no one gets it at the first time, although some of you might get it, but it takes on practice. That's why don't be scared or don't be shy to tend to practice and to see how your progress is doing, because none of us were already, or majority of us were not familiar with this technology at the onset of the pandemic, but because of this, it has shifted us to be more resourceful and to develop new certain skills. So after this, I'll be sharing with you. We'll be moving on to how to maximize the use of evaluation forms. Okay, let's now move on to how to prepare online evaluation form. At the same time, how to generate automatically electronic certificates. I mentioned a while ago that it's important for us to store our folders or our files in our Google Drive. So here we can see that I stored it in a workshops from home folder. It contains every document I need into making in preparing for my online activity. So let's open now our online evaluation form. It's basically the same with how we create online registration forms. The only difference is the evaluation part. Evaluation is important for us, especially for organizers, in order for us to see what we need to improve upon. Maybe in the recently conducted webinar that we had, there was a problem with the audio. The speaker's presentation was too bright or too critical, or the colors were too strong. This can be addressed in the next webinar or the next online workshop that we're going to conclude or conduct. So for us, what we usually do is we give an evaluation form, but it has two parts. The first part is the quantitative evaluation, which consists of rating several factors of the activity. For example, here, our highest rating is 5 or excellent, and the lowest is 1 or poor. Then afterwards, here are the several factors or criteria we need to evaluate. So schedule, it starts from how we planned our online activity until the activity proper itself. So here we get how was our scheduling, our platform, the resource speaker, our registration, and all the like. Also put the overall impression of our participants of our activity. There's also the qualitative evaluation, which I think is more important because it gives us a sense of how the viewers or how our audience or how our participants viewed our presentation or our online workshop or webinar. You can put guide questions like, what did they learn, or what they most liked in our webinar, what they least like. For us, we want to get an in-depth answer from our participants. We ask them what they learned, or what skills or insights did they gain from the activity. Also, at the same time, in order to improve our offerings, we ask them what can we further do to improve what we're already doing. Just to share with you, in our previous webinars, there were implementations that we made because of feedback from our audience. For example, start earlier, lessen the number of follow the time limit. This have been helpful for us in improving our webinars and our services for our student population. Also, we try to consider what topic the students might think we need to give to them, and other comments and suggestions as well. So in the same manner as the online registration form, we'll go now to the Google Sheet, and I will show you how to properly create or how to generate electronic certificates. Okay, once we're in the Google Sheet of our Google form, our link sheet, please make sure to double check the column headers. since this will be important in our integration for the creation of our electronic certificates. So make sure that these columns are properly labeled and the data below it corresponds to the description on top. So for example, here, email address falls under it are the email addresses as well, and the name of for the full name, the name of the participants. Then let's move on to our certificate muna. Okay, so in order for us to prepare our certificates, we may task some of our members of our organization, for example, are those in charge with graphic designs, to create a template already. So it contains the image of the certificate as well as the citations and the signatories. So I'll be sharing with you how we made it in order to make it faster or the process faster. So here I'll be selecting it. So it's already in JPEG form or format. And you can see here, I'm going to drag it and occupy the top of the Google slide. Okay. So it's not proportionate, but we can make it bigger. And also whenever we're changing the size, okay, let's just put it at the back. It's okay, order, send backward. So you can see here. Then to change the site, we go to format options to see the size of the, it's around 8.26. So we now move on to the size of our page and we move it. Oh, so it actually corresponds actually. Also, it's important for us to put a text box here at this part and type this in order to link the data from our column header. Remember, we have a column header there which states full name. So all the entries under it will be linked here. So we do this by doing 2 less than signs, then the column header name. Let's say for the instance, it's full name, then 2 greater than signs. Afterwards, we're now ready. Go back to our Google Sheet. Then we're going to run our Autocrat. Okay, so for Autocrat, it's here. If you didn't download it, you can get it by clicking this get add-ons. So let's move forward. Takes a little time to open these files or this add-on. So while waiting, let's just, we already made our certificate and we already have our database. So here, I'm going to show you, I already made a pre-existing job. So if you want to do a new one, you just click new job. But I will do still the step-by-step for you to see, okay? We are going to edit what I previously made. So for this, you want to rename your job, the job name or merge job name. So for this instance, what we do is sample e-certificates. You can add anything depending on what activity you're making. Say, sample Thursday workshops from home, since it's the title of our activity right now. Then afterwards, next. Then we already linked it to our Google slide or our certificate template. Here you can see its name, it's sample certificate. Make sure it matches the one you're going to link. So next, remember that I put there the full name of the 2 less than signs and full name 2 greater than signs. So this one, and it's going to connect to the column full name. So that's why I told you to take note of your headers properly. So every data under full name will be automatically added. Then afterwards here, for the file name, what we want to do is the same to the bracket side or less than signs and greater than signs, full name dash certificate of participation. This will be your file name for all of your for all the certificates that are going to be generated. And for the type, just click PDF since it's more appropriate or more formal. Then multiple outputs. That means for each entry, you get another output equivalent. Then afterwards, we link it to our Google Drive folder. Remember what I mentioned before that we need to be organized. So it's linked here. You can see it's also here in our Google Drive. It's here, sample certificates for workshops from home. So all the entries will be added there as well. So it's like a backup for you. Then afterwards, we can skip this dynamic part folder, merge condition. We can also skip this. For this, share doc and send email. So if you want to share your document, you can do so in the form of PDF, as well as you may allow your collaborators to reshare them or to create them for on behalf of you. So what we do here is we send it to the email address of the participants using their column header, again with the less than and greater than signs. Then here is the title of the activity of the email, certificate of appreciation, the full name of the participant. And then you can type a short message for them. Say, dear, full name, again, to address them properly, the participant, make it personal for them. Then thank you for attending our webinar. Or you can give a long message. It's up to you. We prefer to do it short and simple. So from Team OSA, sincerely, Team OSA. So this will now be attached. This will be the email sent attached with the certificate as well. So we move on to next. For this part, when you say run on form trigger or run on time trigger, for on form trigger, this means that for every entry, the system will do it for you. Let's say someone answered your evaluation form for at 12:01 in the morning, they immediately get their certificate with their email along, sent via email. When you say run on time trigger, that means you select which time for you, the system will automatically generate the time. So that means for example, there's you want every hour after each entry, after every hour, all the entries will be linked or will be done. All the certificates will be done and will be sent to the respective email. So that's the options. But for us in also, we tend to do it manually. When I say manually, we do the triggers in order for us to check whether or not the emails are correct. Sometimes students or other participants tend to mistakenly write their email. So that's next. And afterwards, apologies. Okay. Then we save it. Then once it's saved, just click on this run display button and it will automatically create your once it says merge sequence, it's going to prompt the creation of the electronic certificates. Let's just wait. So when you say two rows will be merged, because there are two entries here, those are going to be merged and sent respectively to your the email addresses of your participants. Okay, so it's done. In order to check it, you can look here. There's usually a column that Autocrat does for you to see. So it's here. There's an updates. So here you can see the link where the Google Drive or the certificate was put in the Google Drive. For serve once, we can see that it's already here. It's already made. And it was already merged. And you can see here, document successfully created, merged, PDF created, and sent to the email address. So usually when it wasn't sent, it says here invalid. So, but in our case, it's valid. It was sent. So let's just look at our email, our sent email. Okay. Let's just look for our sample certificate in our in our Google Drive. And we can see here, the certificates were already made. So that means our Autocrat job was able to do it. So it just takes a long time to load up, maybe because of the internet, or maybe here, it says here, it depends on you whether or not you can, it's just more of a trial or a rerun. You can see that there's some certain errors, like there's a little white space below, but as long as as long as properly states, it's fine. We can just re-edit it. So here, let's see. Okay, I sent an email to myself. Let's see if the message was conveyed as well as the type. Oh, look here. Okay, so it's already attached. So that's for our how Autocrat is done. It saves you a lot of time. Speaking on my experience, I think what I mentioned before about the alternative class program, since majority or almost all or majority of the students were involved, attended a certain webinar or workshop, I had to create each certificate for them. So it was around 3,000 entries, and I had to create 3,000 certificates. But thanks to the help of Autocrat, I was able to save time, energy, and effort as well. So I hope this lessons or what I have shared with you can help you better prepare for your activities, not only in terms of planning, organizing, but as well as for evaluating. It makes it easier. Um, Please kindly share this with those people you want to are or you want to help also. Uh, this 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 form can be really helpful, and just practice. Siguro that's the only thing I can recommend. For my first time, I was having hard time figuring out how to do this, how to do that. At least right now, I was able to demonstrate it to you, and you can use it for your future activities as well. So that's all for my part. Thank you for listening to my talk, and I hope you would you understand everything and will be sharing with your respective organizations. So thank you very much.